This is the story of a woman who is hailed as the first Lady of Bluegrass, a pioneering firebrand who kicked down doors for women in country music. But it's also the story of a path cleared and a road not taken. A story of how a woman so powerful, a true original, could become a footnote in the history she helped write. This is the story of Wilma Lee Cooper. Wilma Lee Leary, who would later become a prominent figure in traditional country and gospel music, was born on February 7, 1921, in Valley Head, a modest rural community nestled in Randolph County, West Virginia. This area exemplified the quintessential Appalachian landscape, marked by its remote mountainous terrain that often isolated communities from urban influences, fostering a self-reliant culture built on close-knit family ties, communal support, and a profound connection to nature. Daily life revolved around agricultural pursuits, seasonal rhythms, and shared hardships, where traditions were preserved through oral histories and cultural practices. Central to this environment was the pervasive role of traditional music, which served as a vital outlet for expression, storytelling, and emotional release, alongside the anchoring presence of evangelical Christianity that provided spiritual guidance and communal gatherings. Growing up in such a setting, Wilma Lee was immersed from infancy in these elements, which would profoundly shape her identity, values, and artistic development. Wilma Lee's family roots were deeply embedded in the musical and agrarian traditions of Appalachia, influencing her earliest experiences and inclinations. Her father, Jacob Alexander Leary, worked primarily as a farmer, tending to crops and livestock in the challenging hilly terrain, but he was equally renowned locally for his musical talents as a multi-instrumentalist. Proficient on both the fiddle and banjo, he embodied the region's folk music legacy, often playing at informal gatherings to entertain neighbors and family. Her mother, born with the maiden name Cooper, hailed from a lineage similarly steeped in musical heritage, where songs were passed down generations as a means of preserving history and culture. In this household, music transcended mere hobby status. It was woven into the fabric of everyday life, functioning as a tool for social interaction, relaxation after labor-intensive days, and enhancement of religious observances. Unlike the emerging commercial music scenes in urban areas, Appalachian music here remained organic and communal, performed on front porches, at barn raisings, or during family evenings, emphasizing authenticity over spectacle. The Leary family was devoutly committed to the Pentecostal holiness denomination, a fervent branch of Christianity that emphasized direct spiritual experiences, emotional expressiveness, and active participation in worship. Services in this tradition were vibrant and immersive, featuring enthusiastic preaching, spontaneous testimonies, and music that stirred the soul, often without formal instrumentation, but always with robust vocal elements. This religious framework played a pivotal role in molding Wilma Lee's emerging vocal abilities, as it encouraged unrestrained, passionate singing that conveyed deep conviction and spiritual fervor. From her toddler years, she absorbed these influences, learning to project her voice with intensity during church hymns and revivals. The Pentecostal emphasis on full-throated singing, characterized by raw emotion, high energy, and communal harmony, instilled in her a style that prioritized clarity, volume, and emotional depth, traits that would define her later career. As Wilma Lee and her siblings grew, their family's musical inclinations coalesced into a structured ensemble. She, along with her two sisters Peggy and Eva, received early instruction in singing and basic instrumentation from their father, who recognized and nurtured their innate talents. This training occurred in the home environment, where practice sessions blended family bonding with skill building, focusing on coordination, pitch accuracy, and rhythmic timing. Together with Jacob Leary, they established the Leary family as a performing unit, a common format in Appalachian music where blood relations ensured natural harmony and shared cultural understanding. The group's formation represented a natural extension of their daily lives, transforming private musical expressions into a collective endeavor that could engage wider audiences. The Leary family's musical selections were predominantly drawn from traditional gospel repertoire, reflecting their religious devotion and the moral underpinnings of their community. Songs often featured themes of faith, redemption, hardship, and divine grace, delivered through arrangements that highlighted vocal interplay. Their signature sound revolved around intricate three-part harmonies sung by the sisters, which created a layered, resonant texture that evoked emotional depth and unity. Wilma Lee emerged as the standout lead vocalist, her contributions distinguished by a commanding presence that drew listeners in. Even in her teenage years, her voice exhibited remarkable attributes, exceptional power that carried over distances, crystalline clarity that cut through ambient noise, and a distinctive high piercing timbre, often described as high lonesome or mountain tenor. This style, honed for unamplified settings like expansive church halls or open-air revivals, emphasized projection and emotional intensity, allowing her to convey narratives with authenticity and impact. Throughout the 1930s, the Leary family gained recognition as a favored act at various local venues across West Virginia, including churches, community festivals, and revival meetings. These engagements provided Wilma Lee with invaluable hands-on experience, serving as an informal apprenticeship that refined her abilities beyond mere technical proficiency. Regular performances taught her the nuances of audience interaction, stage presence, and adaptability to different settings, whether intimate indoor services or larger outdoor assemblies. She also developed skills as a rhythm guitarist, providing steady accompaniment that supported the vocal harmonies, and learned to manage the logistics of live shows, such as timing sets and engaging crowds. This era solidified her foundation as a multifaceted performer, blending vocal prowess with instrumental support and charismatic delivery, all while embedding her deeper into the cultural fabric of Appalachian gospel music. By 1938, the family's growing ambitions prompted them to seek broader exposure through emerging media platforms. The advent of radio in the 1920s and 1930s revolutionized opportunities for rural musicians, offering unprecedented reach to audiences in distant homes and towns, far surpassing local limitations. Motivated by this potential, the Leary family auditioned for a slot on the Farm and Fun Time radio program, originating from Harrisonburg, Virginia, a show that catered to rural listeners with a mix of agricultural news, entertainment, and music. Their audition proved successful, securing them a regular spot and signifying their transition from amateur enthusiasts to professional broadcasters. This milestone expanded their influence, allowing Wilma Lee's voice to resonate across airwaves and introduce their traditional sound to a wider demographic. While performing on the Farm and Fun Time program in Harrisonburg, Wilma Lee's path intersected with that of Dale T. Cooper, a skilled young fiddler who adopted the stage name Stoney. Stoney was already an established regular on the show, contributing his expertise in traditional fiddling that complemented the era's mountain music aesthetic. Their initial encounters at the station blossomed into a romance, grounded in mutual respect for each other's talents and a shared dedication to preserving and performing authentic Appalachian tunes. Beyond personal affection, their collaboration revealed an instant musical synergy. His intricate, expressive fiddling paired seamlessly with her forceful vocals and rhythmic guitar, creating a dynamic that enhanced both elements. On November 2nd, 1941, at the age of 20, Wilma Lee Leary married Stoney Cooper, merging their personal lives in a union that also formalized their artistic alliance. Adopting the billing Wilma Lee and Stoney Cooper, they departed from the Leary family to forge an independent career path. This decision represented a strategic pivot, leveraging their combined strengths to pursue opportunities as a duo in the evolving landscape of country music. Their partnership symbolized the culmination of Wilma Lee's early development, rooted in family, faith, and tradition, while heralding a new chapter focused on professional growth, recordings, and broader recognition in the genre. Shortly following their marriage in November 1941, Wilma Lee and Stoney Cooper actively pursued opportunities to expand their musical reach beyond local and regional radio appearances. Recognizing the need for a more prominent stage to showcase their duo act, they targeted the WWVA Jamboree in Wheeling, West Virginia, for an audition. This program, commonly known as the Wheeling Jamboree, had established itself as a cornerstone of live country music broadcasting in the United States by the early 1940s. Operating from the powerful 50,000-watt WWVA radio station, it reached listeners across a vast geographic area, including much of the Midwest, Northeast, and parts of Canada, making it a vital platform for aspiring artists. Its prestige was immense, often compared to Nashville's Grand Ole Opry, though it ranked second in overall national influence and audience size due to the Opry's longer history and broader network affiliations. The Jamboree's format emphasized authentic, roots-oriented country music, aligning perfectly with the Coopers' traditional style. Their audition highlighted Wilma Lee's dynamic vocals and Stoney's fiddling expertise, impressing the show's producers with their chemistry and adherence to mountain music traditions. As a result, they were promptly hired as regular cast members, a breakthrough that catapulted them from relative obscurity into the professional spotlight and provided a stable base for building their career. For over a decade, spanning from the mid-1940s through 1957, Wilma Lee and Stoney Cooper solidified their position as leading performers on the WWVA Jamboree, emerging as headline attractions that drew consistent crowds and radio listenership. This extended period represented a formative and intensive phase in their professional development, where the demands of the program refined their performance skills and helped cultivate a widespread national reputation. The Jamboree's structure required unwavering commitment. Every Saturday night, they performed live from Wheeling's historic Virginia Theater, a venue that accommodated enthusiastic audiences and facilitated high-energy broadcasts featuring a mix of music, comedy skits, and audience interaction. Beyond these weekly shows, their schedule was grueling, encompassing extensive touring throughout the work week to various towns, rural communities, and mid-sized cities within WWVA's expansive signal range. These road performances, often in school auditoriums, fairgrounds, or local halls, involved long drives, set-up logistics, and back-to-back shows, testing their endurance and adaptability. The relentless pace fostered discipline and professionalism, while direct fan engagement through autographs, personal stories, and impromptu encores helped forge a dedicated following. This loyal fan base, comprised largely of working-class listeners in Appalachia and surrounding regions, appreciated the Coopers' relatable themes and unpretentious delivery, contributing to their growing popularity and establishing them as fixtures in the country music landscape. Throughout their years at the Wheeling Jamboree, Wilma Lee and Stoney Cooper meticulously crafted and refined their distinctive musical identity, which became a hallmark of their act and set them apart in the evolving country music scene. To support their performances, they assembled their own backing ensemble, dubbed the Clinch Mountain Clan, named after the iconic Appalachian Ridge, to evoke a sense of regional authenticity and heritage. This band consisted of skilled musicians on instruments like bass, mandolin, and additional guitars, creating a fuller, more dynamic sound that amplified the duo's core elements. Their overall style was characterized by a vigorous, unyielding traditional approach, fast-paced rhythms, raw instrumentation, and heartfelt delivery that deliberately resisted the contemporary trends toward polished Western swing or pop-infused country, which often incorporated big band elements and smoother arrangements. Instead, the Clinch Mountain Clan's music remained rooted in old-time mountain traditions, delivering a high-energy experience that resonated with audiences seeking genuine folk expressions. Their song selections balanced secular country pieces which explored poignant narratives of love gone wrong, personal tragedy, and rural hardships, with fervent gospel tunes that harkened back to their Pentecostal upbringing and formed the emotional backbone of their repertoire. Wilma Lee stood out as the central figure in this setup, while Stoney contributed expertly with his fiddle work and supportive harmony vocals. It was her magnetic command of the stage, marked by confident movements, engaging banter, and an authoritative demeanor, that drew the spotlight. Her rhythmic guitar strumming provided a steady, driving pulse to the arrangements, but her voice was the true powerhouse, a forceful, versatile instrument capable of soaring highs, emotional depth, and piercing clarity that commanded attention and elicited strong audience responses, solidifying her as the act's driving force. The surging popularity generated by their Jamboree appearances and tours created momentum that propelled Wilma Lee and Stoney Cooper into the recording industry, marking a significant expansion of their career. In 1947, they secured their inaugural contract with Columbia Records, a leading major label renowned for its roster of prominent country and folk artists, which offered professional production resources, distribution networks, and promotional support. This deal was a direct outgrowth of their radio fame, as Columbia scouts recognized the commercial potential in capturing their live energy on wax. Their recording sessions commenced with a focus on translating the intensity of their stage shows into studio tracks, resulting in a string of successful singles that elevated them to national recording artist status. Notable releases from this era included The White Rose, a melancholic ballad exploring themes of lost love and remembrance, This World Can't Stand Long, a somber reflection on mortality and moral decay, and the enduring gospel favorite 30 Pieces of Silver, which drew from biblical narratives of betrayal and redemption with fervent vocal delivery. These songs embodied the raw, unfiltered passion of their performances, featuring Wilma Lee's dominant vocals backed by Stoney's fiddle and the Clinch Mountain Clan's tight instrumentation. Promoted heavily during Jamboree broadcasts through on-air plugs, listener requests, and tie-in announcements, the records achieved notable chart positions on country music lists in publications like Billboard, sustaining momentum through the late 1940s and into the early 1950s. This phase not only broadened their audience beyond radio reach, but also generated revenue from sales and royalties, further professionalizing their operation. By the mid-1950s, as their Columbia tenure wound down, Wilma Lee and Stoney Cooper transitioned to Hickory Records, an emerging Nashville-based label established by influential figures Roy Acuff, a country music legend and publisher, and Wesley Rose, a key executive in the Acuff-Rose publishing empire. This move was strategic, aligning them with a company attuned to traditional country sounds and equipped with strong ties to Nashville establishment, which facilitated better song access, studio facilities, and marketing in the heart of the industry. Under Hickory, their output maintained high quality and commercial viability, with new singles building on their established formula of emotional gospel and heartfelt country tunes. The label's support amplified their visibility, leading to continued chart presence and radio airplay. During this time, their reputation within the broader country music community expanded significantly. Peers and critics alike praised them as exemplars of authentic, unadulterated traditional music, contrasting with the genre's shifting trends toward rockabilly influences and crossover appeals. Their consistent performances, recordings, and fan loyalty positioned them as reliable draws, enhancing their stature and opening doors to higher-profile opportunities. The culmination of their prolonged success at the Wheeling Jamboree, combined with robust record sales and a steadfast commitment to traditional styles, elevated Wilma Lee and Stoney Cooper to the upper echelons of country music recognition by the late 1950s. Their decade-plus run at WWVA had not only honed their craft, but also demonstrated enduring appeal, making them highly desirable for affiliation with the Grand Ole Opry, the preeminent institution in the genre symbolizing the pinnacle of achievement. The Opry, broadcast from Nashville's Ryman Auditorium, represented national legitimacy, with membership reserved for acts of proven talent, popularity, and cultural fit. The Coopers' track record, marked by sold-out tours, hit records, and a devoted following, rendered them ideal candidates as Opry management sought performers who could uphold the show's emphasis on roots music while attracting audiences. This potential induction signaled the apex of their ascent, validating their journey from Appalachian origins to industry prominence and setting the stage for further legacy building in country music history. In 1957, after more than a decade as major stars at Wheeling, Wilma Lee and Stoney Cooper received the official invitation to join the cast of the Grand Ole Opry in Nashville, Tennessee. For any country music artist of that era, an invitation to the Opry was the ultimate validation of their career. It signified their acceptance into the elite circle of country music royalty. Their induction was particularly noteworthy. They were hired to take over the sponsored portion of the Opry broadcast that had long been occupied by the legendary Carter family, who were retiring from regular performing. This specific placement was a significant endorsement from the Opry management, signaling that Wilma Lee and Stoney were viewed not merely as another popular act, but as direct heirs to the foundational authentic traditions that the Opry was built upon. For the next 20 years, from 1957 to 1977, Wilma Lee and Stoney Cooper were fixtures on the Grand Ole Opry. They performed nearly every weekend, first from the stage of the historic Ryman Auditorium and later from the new Grand Ole Opry House, which opened in 1974. During this period, the sound of commercial country music was undergoing a significant transformation. The Nashville sound, a polished, pop-influenced style featuring smooth vocals, string sections, and background choirs, came to dominate country radio. Artists like Patsy Cline, Jim Reeves, and Eddie Arnold achieved massive crossover success with this new sound. Wilma Lee and Stoney Cooper did not adapt to this new trend. They remained steadfastly committed to their raw, high-energy, mountain-style music. As a result, While their records were no longer consistent fixtures on the national pop-oriented country charts, they remained incredibly popular with the Opry's core audience, which valued traditionalism. They were viewed as keepers of the old flame, a direct link to the roots of the music. Their recording of Walking My Lord Up Calvary Hill in 1959 became their most enduring gospel classic. Other popular songs from their Opry years include Big Midnight Special, There's a Big Wheel, and Wreck on the Highway. They were deeply respected by their peers and beloved by the thousands of fans who came to Nashville every weekend to see authentic country music. They represented the bedrock of the Opry. This long and stable period of their career and life came to an abrupt and tragic end in 1977. Stoney Cooper, who had been in declining health for several years, suffered a fatal heart attack on March 22, 1977. He was 58 years old. His death ended his and Wilma Lee's personal and professional partnership of 36 years. The death of her husband was a profound personal and professional blow to Wilma Lee Cooper. At 56 years old, she was faced with the prospect of continuing a career that had, for its entire duration, been defined by her partnership with Stoney. Many in the industry expected she would retire. However, demonstrating immense personal resilience, she made the decision to continue performing as a solo artist. She retained the band name, the Clinch Mountain Clan, and took on the full responsibilities of being a bandleader. She continued her regular performances at the Grand Ole Opry, where she was now viewed with even greater respect, not just as a traditionalist, but as a symbol of strength and survival. Her solo act was a success, and she proved that her appeal was not solely dependent on the duo format. During the 1980s and 1990s, she entered a new phase of her career, becoming a revered elder stateswoman of traditional American music. While her presence on commercial country radio had ended years earlier, she found a new and appreciative audience on the burgeoning folk and bluegrass festival circuits. The bluegrass community in particular celebrated her as a pioneer. While her music was not strictly bluegrass in the style of Bill Monroe, her hard-driving, acoustic sound, powerful vocals, and authentic repertoire made her a natural fit for the genre. She was frequently billed as the First Lady of Bluegrass and was a headline attraction at major bluegrass festivals across the country. This period cemented her legacy as a crucial link between the past and present of traditional American music. Her long performing career came to a dramatic and sudden end on February 24, 2001. Wilma Lee Cooper, just days after her 80th birthday, was performing on the stage of the Grand Ole Opry. She began to sing one of her most famous gospel songs, Walking My Lord Up Calvary Hill. Mid-performance, her voice faltered, and she collapsed on stage. Fellow performers, including bluegrass legend Ralph Stanley, rushed to her aid. She had suffered a massive stroke. The event happened live on stage, in front of the audience and her fellow cast members. She was rushed to a Nashville hospital. The stroke was severe, and it effectively ended her ability to perform. She would never again sing on the Opry stage. The incident was a tragic end to a career that had spanned over 60 years, but it was also a stark testament to her identity as a performer. She was on the job, on the stage she loved until the very last possible moment. Wilma Lee Cooper spent the final decade of her life in retirement. She lived quietly in Sweetwater, Tennessee, cared for by her family. Her health never fully recovered to the point where she could resume a public life. In 2007, she endured another personal tragedy with the death of her only child, her daughter Carol Lee Cooper, who had also had a long and successful career at the Opry as the leader of the Carol Lee Singers. On September 13, 2011, Wilma Lee Cooper died at her home from a heart attack. She was 90 years old. The life and career of Wilma Lee Cooper document a significant chapter in the history of American music. Her timeline begins in the pre-commercial folk traditions of Appalachia and extends into the 21st century, making her a bridge across multiple eras of country music. Her early career with the Leary family and her subsequent rise to stardom with her husband Stoney Cooper at the WWVA Jamboree and the Grand Ole Opry place her at the center of country music's golden age. Her primary contribution was her role as a powerful and uncompromising female artist. In an era when women were often relegated to secondary roles, Wilma Lee was a bandleader and the undeniable star of her own act. Her powerful, unadorned vocal style, directly informed by her Pentecostal upbringing, represented a standard of authenticity that stood in contrast to the commercial trends of the Nashville sound. While her refusal to adapt to a more polished style limited her mainstream chart success in the latter half of her career, it cemented her status as a hero among fans of traditional country, gospel, and bluegrass music. Her legacy is not defined by crossover hits, but by her unwavering dedication to the raw, emotional music of her heritage. The dramatic end to her performing career, suffering a stroke on the stage of the Grand Ole Opry, serves as a poignant final testament to her lifelong identity as a performer. She remains a seminal figure, a crucial link to the roots of country music, and a powerful example of female artistry and resilience.